We good? Okay, thank you. I'm Michael Taft, and we're going to do our usual Thursday night Deconstructing Yourself with me. So that means we'll do a silent, non-silent, we will do a guided meditation for an hour, okay, in which you will be expected to sit still and be really quiet and not do loud zipping and unzipping, velcroing and unvelcroing, moving in really loud or expansive ways, but rather, to the best of your ability, being really gentle and quiet and still. After that, I'll give some kind of talk, which may or may not be edifying. After that, we'll open it up and say, hey, you guys want to, ask any questions, say anything about your experience, intensely critique me for what my flaws or whatever. And then after that, we'll do a nice 5 or 7 minute kind of absolute silence meditation. Okay? In terms of the guided meditation, you're always welcome to not do it. You can sit and do your own meditation. But if you want to follow along as, as far as you want. And maybe at some point I go off in some direction you don't want to go in, great. Just feel free to bow out of the guidance at that point and go off into your own thing. And we're going to do a little bit of movement right now. And it's the same thing in the movement. I will be saying, oh, try this, try that. But these are just suggestions, and your body is your body, and who knows what feels good for your body, or whatever injuries you may have, who knows. So you are in charge of you. Make the movement work for your body. Okay? Everybody good with all the rules? Okay. So first things first, let's start out by kind of doing this and getting it so your butt feels good on the cushion or the chair, and you can go back and forth or forward and backward or even in kind of circles, but you want to get it so it's really sort of feeling good. Do you know if these are on? Thanks for that, Lara. I wasn't even noticing. And then do some spine circles, so all the way up your spine. Thank you so much. Normally I walk around and do that, but I forgot. And you can switch directions, you can make the circles big, you can make them into weird ovals or spirals, whatever works for you. And then let's, while continuing to circle with the spine, start circling with your shoulders and your elbows and your arms in whatever way works for you. Again, my body's my body, yours might want to do other things, but this is what feels good right now. And then let's do the usual coming up, stretching the rib cage. Let's expel all the bad air. And then breathe really big. You might do a couple breaths there. Good, and then over to the side, opening up the side ribs and doing a nice big breath. I like moving my neck around here also, it's kind of nice. Everybody can hear me okay, right? And then coming back this way. Again, just opening that up, getting some space in your rib cage. And then coming up to the center, expelling all the air again. And coming down in front, all the air, all the air, all the air, get it out. And then when your lower back is all the way open, your back ribs are all the way open, big breath. Through the nose, of course. Okay. Coming back up. And just feeling how that feels. Let's do just a, this feels kind of good to expel all that air, right? Let's do just a little bit more of that. So, breathing in and then just expel it all through your nose. And then more. And a big in-breath through the nose. Just do that a couple times. And then, just because it's fun, we'll change it to a Kapalbhati. So same thing, breathe it all the way out. And then if you know how to do it, at the end of the out-breath, you can do a quick Mahabandha. And then breathe all the way in. And hold it this time, but only as long as feels good to you. And then close your right nostril, breathe out the left. Okay. Then, again, just cause, time to do lion pose. So breathe in, and then eyes wide open, tongue all the way out. Let's do it again. You got to mean it. Sub DK. Okay. Now we're going to completely take our thinking mind and we're just going to set it aside. So just take your thinking mind in your two hands as if it were a toaster of the Populux design variety, and you just set it aside over here. So all the thoughts are going on over there. They can keep going on. We're not going to change them in any way. We're not going to suppress them, deny them, control them. But they're over there. We're just not going to engage. If I forget, remind me that at the end we can bring the toaster back in. Sometimes I forget. So now resting in simple presence outside the machinery of thought. Just simply being present, open, awake, but unengaged from any particular thinking activity. Again, it's still happening, we're just not engaging. The clutch is pushed in. And from this place of just wide open presence, let's, we haven't done it in a long time. We did a little bit last week, but we haven't done a good one at the beginning in a long time. So we're going to do some Om Mani Padme Hum. Okay, so most of you have done this with me before. The rest of you will just see how it's done. But please join in. Om Mani Padme Hum. Right? We're going to do it for a few minutes. Om Mani Padme Hum, 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 Om Mani Padme Hum. Padme Hum, Om Mani 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 Om Mani Padme Hum, 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 Om Mani Padme Padme Hum, Om Mani 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 Padme Hum Maṇi, Padme Hum Maṇi, Padme Hum Maṇi, Padme Hum Maṇi. Maṇi Padme Hum Maṇi, 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 Padme Hum Padme Hum Maṇi, Padme Hum Maṇi, Padme Hum Maṇi, Padme Hum Maṇi, Maṇi, Padme Hum 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 Maṇi, Padme Padme Hum Maṇi, Padme Hum Maṇi, Padme Hum Maṇi, Padme Hum Padme Hum Maṇi, 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 Padme Hum Mi Padme Hum Maṇi, Padme Hum Good. Again, just leaving aside any thought activity. Rest now in the open, spacious presence of this wisdom energy of Avalokiteshvara manifested through this Maṇi mantra. So just rest, feeling this presence, feeling the openness, feeling the clarity, feeling the love. If that's a little too unstructured for you, you can gently feel your breath coming and going within that openness, that field of awakeness and spaciousness. But we're not really focusing on the breath as such. You're just aware that it's coming and going. It gives you a little bit of structure if that's helpful. And just remaining in simple presence, wide open, wide awake, naturally spacious, effortlessly awake, unengaged with the thinking mind, and simply resting there. If you find yourself drowsy or sleepy, sit up a little straighter, open your eyes, but otherwise we're just sitting here. We're just being. There's no other requirements. It's as if the wave of the breath is a wind coming and going in the wide open sky of awakeness. The wind rises, the wind falls in this vast dome of the sky. Good. Now we've been invoking Avalokiteshvara, so let's go ahead and work with that energy a little bit. Just imagine, and when I say imagine, it means feel as if. Doesn't necessarily mean visual, although if you're a visual person, it can include visual. Feel as if Avalokiteshvara is sitting in front of you, meditating, gazing back at you. Okay, eyes are open, Avalokiteshvara's eyes are open, and this bodhisattva is gazing upon you. Avalokiteshvara is, of course, the bodhisattva of compassion, sometimes just called great compassion or Chenrezig. But of course, this is a being of tremendous wisdom, tremendous insight. Sitting before you right now. Again, it's not so much about picturing them as feeling it. Feel as if there is a being of infinite meditative wisdom and compassion sitting before you in this moment. I'll give the description of what he looks like, but again, it's not necessarily about visualizing that. So, Avalokiteshvara or Chenrezig, the bodhisattva of infinite compassion, has 4 arms. The middle 2 arms are in a prayer-like posture, holding a jewel. This is the jewel we're talking about in the mantra Om Maṇi Padme Hum. It's the jewel of compassion, the jewel of wisdom, the jewel of insight, the jewel of emptiness. And the right hand, the far right hand, is holding a rosary, a mala, right? The mala is doing the mantra Om Maṇi Padme Hum continuously. In the far left hand is a beautiful white lotus. in full bloom. There's that exquisite fragrance. Chenrezig or Avalokiteshvara is described as being white, not a race white, but the color actual white, symbolizing the compassion and purity, and is wearing silk robes and golden jewels. Seated in cross-legged posture upon a deer skin upon a lotus. Or sometimes the deer skin is over the shoulder. This is, of course, a symbol of the Buddha and the Buddha's kindness and gentleness. Now, in Avalokiteshvara wears a kind of crown, and in that crown there is a crest jewel, and the crest jewel is shining like a bright white light. This is the Buddha Amitabha, right? The Buddha of limitless light. Amitabha means unlimited light, unlimited radiance, whose seed syllable is Hri. And so this being before you that you feel, again, you don't have to visualize this if you can't, it's fine to just feel it. You can feel like we've been working on in the past several weeks, the love and kindness. But tonight in particular, you feel the wisdom. This being is ultimately wise, perfectly enlightened. Perfectly awake and utterly clear. And from their third eye region, the forehead, comes a beam of light into your forehead, bringing that wisdom into your being, right? You have a Buddha nature that's just as awake as Avalokiteshvara's Buddha nature, but sometimes it's obscured, so this Avalokiteshvara is beaming white light into your forehead, into your third eye, bringing that wisdom of simply dispelling ignorance, dispelling the lack of recognition of our own awakeness, melting that away and bringing the clarity of emptiness, the clarity of recognition of our own awake being. The scales fall from the internal eyes and we just see ourselves as we really are, not as whatever personality we are, but as this Buddha nature, which is absolutely awake, absolutely wise, absolutely kind, absolutely loving and clear. And notice, of course, that you may feel some resistance to that. No, I'm not. I don't feel that. I'm stupid. I'm not. I'm dirty. I'm totally not awake. What is he talking about? And so from the heart of Avalokiteshvara comes a beam of light into your heart, just pure love. Just pure love. Total acceptance, saying, you know what? That's the delusion right there. That's the ignorance talking. That's the non-recognition talking. And so that beam of love into the heart just melts all that resistance by waking you up, by waking you up. Just saying, so you can see, oh, right, right. And just melts all resistance. It's irresistible. Just rest there for a moment. Outside of thought, just feeling that. The wisdom, the kindness, the openness, the clarity, the awakeness. This is not your regular everyday mind, right? It's something else. And then from the belly of Avalokiteshvara comes the third and final beam of light into your belly, just bringing tremendous Shakti, right? Just tremendous energy. Just flows up the central channel, bringing pure Nondual wisdom and total awakening, not only through recognition, but into every part of the system, even into the body, the flesh, the regular mind, the regular emotions, everything healing, everything cleansing, everything becoming in tune. And just feel what that feels like. Just rest being that. Good. Okay, we're done goofing around. Now, on an in-breath, bring Avalokiteshvara into your very own being, not just your body, into your being, so that you are no longer whoever you imagined yourself to be, but rather are manifesting, recognizing your own actual being as the Bodhisattva of infinite compassion. And anything that doesn't feel like that, any part that resists that or tries to deny that or move away from that, that's okay. You just feel love and compassion for that. But the essence here is the feeling, I am Avalokiteshvara. It's not something you're trying to convince yourself of, you just feel it. And notice, there's all kinds of regular thoughts and regular emotions and regular body sensations. And you just treat those with love and kindness, and from the place of your actual identity as Avalokiteshvara. Notice this doesn't take a lot of thinking. It's just a mood. In the original Sanskrit of these texts, when we say visualize, or when we say bhavana or bhavaned, it means to feel like. It's often translated as visualize, but it means to have the mood of. So you don't have to do an elaborate visualization. You just sit being Chenrezig, just sit being Avalokiteshvara. There's nothing to do. If you're sitting there going, how do I do it? How do I do it? There's nothing to do. It's just being as. If your mind is very busy, remember that the mind of Avalokiteshvara can be described as the continuous mantra of Om Mani Padme Hum. So feel free to recite that mentally if that feels good. Okay, good. Now, let's come back to just our shamatha, right? Just sitting in open presence, unengaged with thought, maybe feeling the coming and going of the breath. But now it's Avalokiteshvara meditating. This being is the essence of enlightened wisdom. This meditation is not hard for Avalokiteshvara. So being Avalokiteshvara, meditate on simple presence or as simple presence. If you want to, you can feel the coming and going of the breath. If you're slightly more trained in it, you can even watch the coming and going of thought activity. Or if you want to, just do objectless shamatha, i.e., don't do anything at all. Just sit and exist without focusing on anything at all. Notice Avalokiteshvara is very good at meditating. Completely unengaged with any thought. Good. Now, let's allow thought activity to become something you're clearly aware of. Not necessarily the content of thought, but just the activity of thinking. And notice the emptiness of it, the transience of it. Notice that the thinking comes from nowhere, dances for a while in awareness, which isn't located anywhere in particular, and then vanishes again back into nowhere. Another way of saying the same thing, notice it arises in and from awareness itself, appears and moves and changes in awareness, and returns once again whence it came, which is just awareness. So again, without getting involved in the details of the thinking, notice the activity of the thinking, which is sort of like a burbling fountain of, let's say, words and pictures and etc. And just notice the actual status of that it's appearing from nowhere and vanishing again to nowhere, and in between is nowhere. But it appears. It's not nothing. And so notice this ultimately impermanent, contingent, wispy, vanishing quality of thought activity. And let's do that for a while as Avalokiteshvara. Right? Remembering this is Avalokiteshvara doing the meditation. They're good at it. Very, very good at it. And so that ability to just rest as awakeness, observing the emptiness of this flow of thought activity is just effortless. It may be the case that it seems as if the mind gets caught up in the thinking, but of course, the awake awareness never leaves its awakeness. Just re-recognize our identity as awake awareness itself, and then continue noticing the thought activity as a flowing, burbling activity of thought energy that never lands anywhere, never grabs, never actually congeals into anything in particular, but is just a kind of movement that is flowing along effortlessly, beautifully. It's actually quite beautiful and utterly empty. You'll notice that this flow of thought activity, empty mind activity, is utterly natural. It's utterly spontaneous. It's not separate from clouds or rivers or lava or anything in nature. It's its own natural flow, and it has its own kind of grace and ease and beauty. We just don't get caught up in it. You might not want to get caught up in the flow of a rather large river either, right? That can be dangerous. So we're fully aware, fully present with the flow of thought activity and noticing its beauty and its elegance and its naturalness and even perhaps its nobility, but we are not caught up in it because it's utterly empty. Good. Now, recognizing one's identity as Avalokiteshvara, now have the feeling of, or imagine, your regular old self in front of you meditating. Your samsaric being self, the regular body, personality being that you pretend to be all day. See that being, feel that being meditating in front of you, and you are Avalokiteshvara, the being of infinite compassion and wisdom. And you are looking upon this person, this apparent person, with tremendous love and kindness. Seeing just how precious, just how beautiful, just how infinitely awake they really are. Furthermore, you are, again, beaming into them that sense of wisdom, the openness, the clarity, the understanding that they themselves are none other than a bodhisattva. They themselves are none other than utterly awake. It's that fundamental action of the teacher, which is removing ignorance, right? Removing delusion. That's all that's between the regular old samsaric mind, the regular old schlub, and full awakening is just non-recognition, just some ignorance, meaning just not knowing. And so while loving them entirely, right, you see them as they really are. How beautiful, how precious, how exquisite, how utterly unique. And you're offering them. You're not, shoving it. You're just offering the wisdom that will allow them to see that about themselves. You yourself are enlightened being. You yourself are radiant clarity. You yourself are tremendously deep love and kindness. You yourself are noble and wise. Avalokiteshvara just offers that to this apparent being. An absolutely free offering of just wisdom and kindness, no strings attached. Hey, see things as they really are. Gata Bhuta Dasana, right? Sita Darshana, see things as they really are. Notice Avalokiteshvara does not judge this apparent being, does not condemn them, does not punish, does not rebuke, does not have an atom of cruelty, right? It's all just support and kindness and wisdom. And now whatever this apparent being needs to know, the being in front of Avalokiteshvara, whatever they need to know, whatever they need to hear, Avalokiteshvara gives that to them now. It may be verbal, it may be just a feeling, it may be some kind of secret knowledge. But it's what they really need. Good. Now, remaining as Avalokiteshvara, since that is our true identity, just allow the apparent being to come back in. But there's no contradiction here. It's not like there's only enough room or something. There's just our awake nature as Avalokiteshvara and this apparent nature, this apparent being is just a particular manifestation. Notice how there's no conflict there, there's no resolution needed. They can both be there, because really the apparent being is only apparent anyway. Now from this place of being Avalokiteshvara, let any sort of visualization, any sort of imagination, any sort of constructedness just vanish into perfect awakening, perfect awakeness, perfect liberation, without any form of any kind. And into this vast space of ultimate awakeness, perfect clarity, tremendous love and kindness, let's just hear the continuously ongoing mantra, Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Me Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Padme Hum, Om Mani 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 Padme Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. Ma just resting in the absolute emptiness. Nothing there at all, nothing not there at all, just resting. Feel that? Yeah. Let's end that there. And then let's just meditate silently for another hour. You laugh. I wish. Remember that our real nature is Buddha nature, right? So the essence of what we just did, the essence of deity yoga, the essence of working like this is just I am this particular bodhisattva. So you don't, when we're done with the practice of that, you can just then be that for the rest of the time being however long you want that to be. There's no need to relinquish that. And it's funny because people naturally say, well, this is just a bunch of imagination, so this is ridiculous. Right? Just imagining some being of light or whatever, so what? And the answer is, well, you're just imagining being the regular person you are too. How is that any less imagine-y? You ever watch another person grow up, like from a little tiny being to, like you can watch the personality getting constructed, right? It's something you see happening in real time, day after day after day. They're putting together the Lego blocks, at first Duplos and then regular Legos, and into a person. There may have been some personality characteristics there already, but the individual expression, like with these interests and this way of talking and this way of moving and all that, you watch it get built. It's utterly fabricated. There's nothing but imagination going on there, right? It's just being created out of nothing. So when we then, and we all do it, take that to be my one precious identity, it's like, really? I mean, it's not a bad thing. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it at all, but it's just something that you co-created with your parents and society and friends and stuff over a decade and a half. How is that realer? Again, nothing wrong with it. It does its job, but I'm just saying, you can see that it was built. It wasn't there to begin with. And so when we then rebuild it, saying, okay, well, here's my normal thoughts, but what about Avalokiteshvara thoughts? Here's my normal body sensations. What about Avalokiteshvara body sensations? Here's my normal posture. What about Avalokiteshvara posture? And so on. How is that any less real? Or somehow ridiculous or just fabricated any more than anything else? On the other hand, it's got some stuff going for it, like it's certainly tremendously healthy and beautiful and wise, which maybe our kind of our regular old identity, which we assembled out of a junk drawer of random shit that happened to us, might not be. Everyone have a junk drawer at home. It's not really junk, but it's just random stuff. That's how we normally assemble our personality, is just the stuff in the drawer, the randomness drawer of our lives. That might not be our highest expression. Furthermore, we at first hear about it, but then eventually start touching it, and eventually really, truly come from the place of being awake awareness. Right? Come from the place eventually of being liberated, eventually being a bodhisattva. That is what we really are. That's not something you have to develop or construct, right? The Buddha nature, the bodhisattva, that's already there. That's the unconstructed part that you don't have to make or create. So when we're, pretending to be a bodhisattva, that's actually much realer, much more accurate about what you actually are than your normal hallucinatory who you think you are all day long. That's a fantasy. It's a normal fantasy, and it's not like you're stupid if you do that or something. It's just, it's just how we're taught, and that's okay. But remember that, let's say in Buddhist teachings, there's kind of three possible difficulties. One being not liking stuff. The other one is liking stuff. But what's the third one? Thinking stuff is some other thing. Ignorance. Right? Not knowing. And as is typical with Buddhist lists, these three things are not the same level or they're not equal, because the likes and dislikes are caused by ignorance. So really the fundamental thing, the core problem, is ignorance. And it sounds like a really bad thing. Sometimes it's delusion or whatever. It's given these hard names, but all it really means is you're not seeing what you really are. That's it. It's not hyper mystical. It's just you don't see what you really are. You think you're this one sock puppet personality, which is a fine thing. You have to have one, but that's not an identity. It's just like some clothing you put on. You need to have clothes, but you don't have to be your clothes, right? We keep imagining we are that particular identity. That's delusion. And just noticing what we really are, which is what we just did a little version of. What you really are, wide awake, absolutely clear, deeply wise, utterly loving and kind. That's what you really are. So that's all the delusion that needs to be dispelled. It's not even really very much. It's just kind of deeply in there. And then there's a further mind-fucky catch-22, which is, can a bodhisattva really be deluded anyway? So you don't even need to undo the delusion because there isn't any. So when people are like, that's really crazy that you imagine you're Avalokiteshvara, it's like, it's really crazy that you're imagining you're you. You know, but that's okay. Go for it. So that's what I have to say about that. We have a microphone here with Faiza. Remember, where she's going to bring it around. If you raise your hand, you can say stuff. Remember, we just meditated. We're in a meditative environment. Please be mindful of your speech. And also, if everything is working, hopefully, all of this is being beamed live to the interwebs, and it is, going to be up there forever. So with that deep, intimidating thought, feel free to raise your hand and report about your experience or ask a question, and I'll do my best to respond in some way. Otherwise, just sit being Avalokiteshvara. We have a hand. We have a contestant.
Hello, Michael.
Hey, what's your name?
Oh, my name is Eric.
Hi, Eric.
And I guess the custom is to say thank you for the meditation and genuinely thank you for the meditation.
You don't have to do that.
Okay, well, thank you for the meditation anyway.
Good.
My question is rather simple, I think, in that what is the difference between the deity whose name I could not pronounce that we are imagining
Avalokiteshvara.
ourselves in? Yes.
You can say Chenrezig if you want.
You say Chenrezig?
Yeah.
Okay. What is the difference between Chenrezig and, say, Kuan Yin? Or Kuan Yin, rather.
Kuan Yin,
Sorry,
yeah.
yes.
That is, the same being.
Okay. That's
Okay.
what I thought.
But there's still differences because as Avalokiteshvara, they are somehow male. As Kuan Yin, they are somehow female. Although what are the genitalia of a celestial bodhisattva anyway? So, but yes, one is male, one is female-ish, and there are other cultural expressions that are different, but it is the same entity, as well as Kanon in Japan, right? So same bodhisattva.
Thank you.
Yep. Avalokiteshvara is the Sanskrit name, which means hearing the cries, right? Hearing the cries. So if you kind of unpack it, hearing the cries of the world and responding with compassion. Interestingly, the mantra Om Mani Padme Hum, it's often translated as, Om, hail to the jewel in the lotus. It does not say that in any way. It just says, hail to the jeweled lotus. Hail to the jeweled lotus, which is presumably another name of Avalokiteshvara. Lotus jewel, right? Oh, thank you, Lotus jewel. It's a pretty name. Probably another name for exactly the same bodhisattva, right? So these celestial beings have a lot of different cultural expressions, a lot of different names, but these are the same empty entity.
Thank you.
What is your name?
I'm Jessie.
Hi, Jessie.
Yeah. My first time here.
Welcome to Alembic.
Thank you. You use the word empty a lot.
Yep.
And that's, in my experience, an incredibly complex and foundational tenet of any Buddhist teaching. And every time in my own practice that I feel like I got it, it totally vanishes. And then it's just a very, complex, so many debates and, this
Sure.
like texts have
It's
been
really
written
not
about.
complicated, though,
Yeah,
at all.
so in your
Yeah.
words, what would you...
I mean the same thing when I'm saying openness
Uh-huh.
or spaciousness. But sometimes I'll say there but not there. I did say that tonight. That's a lot closer. I said appearance. That's also really close, right? It's pretty. What's the difference between a monster truck in real life and a monster truck that you're watching on a screen? The monster truck on the screen, that's empty. There's still a monster truck in one way and in another way, not. That's empty, okay? So mere appearance. And yet not just appearance, because made of nothing other than awakening. Okay? Did I make it too it's simple.
Thank you.
Yeah. That will be known as the Lotus Discourse. Perfect emptiness. Yes.
Hi, my name's Chris.
Hi, Chris.
I've experienced the celestial being, I think, very deeply. But often, or almost never again, have I. Do you think it's more important to focus on having that experience so that the premise that you're talking about, truth, the lack of ignorance, can be directly felt? Or now that I know that premise, should I just focus on noticing everything that is not pure love? Oh, that's not me. I'm not feeling that that's not me. I have a hard time unmixing a lot of stuff when I'm not in that state. When I'm in that state, it's like, oh, obviously everything is not love, is not me. Does that question make sense?
There's nothing that's not you.
But there's times where I don't identify with horrible feelings because I'm like,
But that's the ignorance, right?
which part is that I should be identifying with the horrible feelings?
Identify is not the right word, but those are just as awake as anything else. They might be, wearing an ugly costume instead of a sweet costume or a clown costume, but they're made of just as much awakening as anything else.
But it feels really good when I don't mix myself with them, because then they just feel like raw energy versus overtaking me. Does that make sense?
But it also means that your awakening will always be in this little narrow channel. It will only be allowed to be this tiny pond.
So
where you can maintain this so-called I'm going to call it purity or separation. There is no separation. And in fact, the thing you're calling awakening isn't really, because it doesn't see the non-separation. So it's another step. It's a deeper step to notice that there isn't anything anywhere that's not totally awake.
From the perspective of the infinite, everything that was horrible felt precious. I saw that. So
And it's not separate.
I felt lucky to see it and to get the chance to experience it. So I think I'm understanding what you're saying as in not separate. But then day to day, I don't feel grateful to experience it. But I should just go ahead and experience it as raw sensation, or
You know, it's the kind of thing where the teaching there depends.
yeah. Okay. I wasn't sure if I should ask this question.
No, it's okay. It just depends on where you're at with it.
Yeah.
But because what works at one level doesn't work at the next level, like that. But really, just accept everything as utterly sacred. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Just random
It's the
observation.
pro forma
Yes.
thing.
Just random observation that the idea of liking, disliking, and ignorance is there is a very cool parallel with Patanjali Yoga, because it talks about 5 obstacles to your
Yeah.
practice, which is avidya, ignorance, asmita, I-ness, ego, then attachment, aversion, and fear of death. So there is definitely this idea is was floating around in that part of the world.
Those people all knew each other and hung out at the same bar and all that. Yeah, talked to each other, for sure. Thanks for pointing that out. There's quite a bit of scholarship about the connections between Patanjali and Buddhism and so on. Yeah. Very good. You okay, Angelina? Okay. Other hands to raise out there somewhere? Oh, Luana.
Hi, Michael.
Hi.
When you were talking about a new life of the drawer personality thing,
When I was talking about
raising a new kid,
Oh,
like
yeah,
a
yeah.
kid,
Mhm.
and then
Watching developmental, yes.
develop the personalities, and then I just went into like a spiral of feeling like a lot of the things here are about sufferings, and also remember the love as the background in a way, and then bringing a new life inherits some of the trauma. That's what I believe from generations, and then also encounters and then receive new traumas in the world. That's a kind of a negative way of
The infinite snowball of devastating trauma
well,
vision. Yeah.
of course we do the work to recycle, but it just feel like okay. And then I guess I just went into this spiral of thinking another kid, more trauma, more resolution, more trauma. It is just as is, and
We're trying to undo the snowball, not grow the snowball.
and then I guess mathematically thinking how do we gauge the input and output of to feel that we're actually evolving, and then I feel like we say that next generation will be evolved better in certain ways. I just kind of like got a little lost in my thought of like, will have that faith in will my next generation be to my understanding better, less trauma, or be more enlightened, and then do I allow myself to accept myself to cause trauma? I feel like that's something I've been working on recently, like allow me being me to cause hurtful feelings to others, and I feel that's also a big
Are you
topic
like
for
actually
kids.
taking like an anti-natalist stance?
Anti what
N-
stance?
Like having children at all is bad?
No, I no. um, yeah, just like had the thought of like all the trauma permutation and just like what's the out, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's just say we'll talk to the regular old personality self. You can't worry about the sum total of trauma in human existence or something, right? As Avalokiteshvara, you can. But that's not where the question is coming from. So from where the question is coming from, you can't worry about all that. What can you do? You can do your very best with the people around you, right? To heal and to not cause more. That's it. And that is a big deal. That's the level on which we really work. We don't work on again, as normal personalities, we're not working on the cosmic level of all human beings, and worrying about that doesn't help. It's just a doom vision. Instead, it's like, hey, are you okay right now? Here's an ice cream cone. Let's talk. Like that's what you can do as a single person, right? And that matters. And if we do want to expand the vision, then when more and more people are cleaning up their little corner of reality, all of reality gets a lot more cleaned up. Okay, so that kind of, it's not helping, right? It's actually just nursing a kind of negative state. Okay?
Yeah, I guess what you talked about, the less ignorance, also makes sense in this scenario.
Yeah.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Yeah. Okay. So let's do some silent meditation. Or silent non-meditation. Well, that was all too short. Very, very wonderful to sit with you and talk with you this evening. Thanks for coming out in real life to this place, or, on YouTube. Feel free to hang out and have some tea and snacks and talk to each other. That'd be great. We encourage that. And also feel free to help put the cushions back over on the side in nice, neat piles. And if you want to introduce yourself or say hi or talk to me, I'll sit up here for a while. But first, I got to turn off the YouTube stream. And other than that, hope to see you all next week. Thanks, everybody.